You are tuned into Happy Families with Principal Lisa, only on 102 Pearl FM, the number one fun station in the UAE.
Hi, welcome to Happy Families with Principal Lisa. You're listening to Lisa and I'm here on the show Happy Families with you today on 102 Pearl FM, the number one fun station in the UAE. Thanks for joining me today. Today we're going to talk about the role of sugar in families, why we might want to avoid it, how we can do that, and what are the challenges about giving your children a very healthy sugar-free lifestyle. I'm going to be joined on the show by Dr. Marina from Dr. Nicholas and Asp, and also by Bernadette Abraham, who's a nutritional therapy practitioner and functional medicine coach. So we're going to have lots of tips and advice today, lots and lots of chat, and we'll be so glad to have you with us. So keep it at 102 Pearl FM, the number one fun station in the UAE.
You are listening to Happy Families with Principal Lisa, only on 102 Pearl FM, the number one fun station in the UAE.
Hi, welcome back to Happy Families with Principal Lisa, 102 Pearl FM, the number one fun station in the UAE. Today I'm joined on the show by two fantastic ladies. I'm joined by Dr. Marina from Dr. Nicholas and Asp, and a real pioneer of the Small Mouse program, and also by Bernadette Abraham, who's a nutritional therapy practitioner and functional medicine coach. We're going to be talking about the role of sugar in families, why we might choose to avoid it, how we can do that, and what are the challenges that we might face in making our family a sugar-free family. Thank you so much for joining me today. So can I introduce one of our first guests, Dr. Marina, to you? So thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you, Lisa, for inviting. It's a real pleasure to be with you.
Now, as a dentist, you know, first and foremost, what the challenges and dangers are of sugar. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, to be honest, sugar is the only thing we have to educate patients about when it comes to oral health, because usually everyone comes into the clinic and says, we brush our teeth, we promise we are brushing our teeth on a single day. But the problem here is not about the brushing, it's about the diet, and they don't know this. People think, often parents say, if I give my children less sugar, they will eventually have less decay. But that's not the problem. It's not about the amount of sugar. Even if they give tiny chocolates throughout the day, they are keeping the teeth exposing to sugar attacks, and eventually tooth decay gets formed inside their mouth. And that's the problem you're facing on a daily basis, not only with children, but unfortunately with adults as well. Cavities, tooth decay, because of the diet habits, because of the snacking, and because of the sugar.
Now, when I was growing up, so you know, I'm from the UK, and in our lifestyle, we would always have a pudding at the end of dinner, which would be, you know, apple pie or something like that. And you know, our mothers thought that, you know, that this was a really kind of healthy thing to have. And I think we got that wrong. But I only remember being allowed sugar and chocolate once a week. You know, I used to be given a few pence to go to the shop and buy a few sweets with. Are you saying that it's okay to have treats like sugar and chocolate, but you need to only have it maybe once a week?
100%.
Okay.
And even if you want to give your children a treat on a daily basis, give it one time, give it right after dinner. Or after a big meal, even if it's lunch or breakfast, because that's the perfect timing where your mouth is full of saliva. You have chewed a lot on your food, and having this saliva will help a lot to cleanse your teeth, to wash your teeth surfaces from all the sugar, and eventually this will help break the cycle of sugar. But don't give something tiny in the morning. Don't give chocolate as snacks. Don't give after dinner by 1 hour, for example, or before bedtime, one piece of cookie because your kid is crying and he doesn't want to go to bed. Stop these habits and stop the snacking, stop the multiple offering of sweet, tiny sugar, because that's the main issue.
Now, my understanding, I mean, I've been working with children and families now, over 25 years, I think now. And what I notice is that often I'm trying to explain to families about not giving their children a bottle. So that's a bottle with a teat, with the formula milk. I always felt that there was probably quite a bit of sugar content within that formula milk. What are your thoughts on that?
100%. And giving a bottle to a baby means that you're soaking his teeth in sugar for so long time. And during the sleep, the saliva decreases. So when you're soaking the teeth in sugar without even having the saliva element, it's a disaster. And it creates something called early childhood caries, also called bottle teeth decay, which actually appears in the anterior teeth more often and is a disaster, because you could literally see a lot of children with these gaps and blackish teeth at the front.
I have seen that over the years.
Me too.
And and I try to explain that baby's bottles are for when baby doesn't have any teeth. The moment you get teeth, you have to move to a cup, and that's a sippy cup, rather than a bottles. But you know what it's like as mothers. And Bernadette, who's here and who's our nutritional therapy practitioner, who's here today, she's also a mum of 4. What would you say about kind of small children having those babies' bottles with the formula milk? Do you have an opinion on that?
I think I agree with both of you in that there needs to be an age where we cut that out and then they make that transition. Obviously, I'm a big advocate of breastfeeding as long as possible. I personally was fortunate enough to be able to breastfeed my children for the full 1 year, and then they gradually just weaned off. And so it was a natural, easy way for me to transition my kids from breast milk to bottled or regular milk. So I never really faced that issue with having a bottle. But I agree with you that definitely moving away from having the bottle and moving into a cup would be a better option.
Yeah. In the UK, we have had a lot of tooth decay. And in fact, in my classes in the UK, I would regularly have children who would say, I have to go to have my teeth taken out. Whereas, say, 20 years ago, I might have children in my class that might just go for a filling. What shifted from just having a filling was to having children have their teeth taken out. Dr. Marina, why is that?
People sometimes think because baby teeth are baby teeth, it's just a temporary phase. It doesn't matter. They will just go out and we're going to have the permanent ones. But that's really a very big misconception. Baby teeth are essential for so many things. First of all, the chewing. You cannot chew without teeth. Even a child cannot do that. They're very important in the speech. And at the very early years of a child, he starts to talk, he starts to pronounce and starts to learn to talk. And it's very important for them to have all the set of healthy teeth, especially the front ones. People think a baby with caries in the front teeth is not a big deal because he's a baby, but actually it's again very essential for their confidence. Babies and children are aware of their teeth, of their smile, of their look, and it's very important to have these teeth. And of course, not to mention that baby teeth also maintain the space for permanent ones. If you lose a tooth now, we put something called a space maintainer to maintain the space for the permanent teeth, because if you don't do that, and if you just lost the baby tooth, eventually the permanent tooth will not come out straight and you will need braces treatment afterwards. So don't underestimate the importance of baby teeth. We can do a filling, we can do a crown, we can even do an aesthetic crown at the front teeth if they have a problem. And if we lose them, we do a space maintainer. But it's crucial to take care of these baby teeth as early as possible.
My goodness me, what a very kind of impassioned speech. I mean, but could you tell us about, because you've been very, very involved for many years now with the Small Mouths program, how was that started and what's your involvement with it?
The Small Mouths program is my passionate part of the job. I've been very, very lucky to be a part of Drs. Nicholas and Asp Small Mouse Program team. It is actually a community initiative that started 15 years ago. Its main goal was to support the DHA to go to as many children as possible in Dubai and empower them for a healthier smile. And it mainly consisted of two parts: education and screening, because we don't only believe in the screening part. Education was much more important to explain to the child how important it is to take care of your teeth. And it's very fascinating to experience this with my own daughter. When I tell her, Carol, let's brush our teeth and everything, I see that she can understand me, even though she is still not 2, but she can understand. She holds the brush, she brushes the teeth for her toy first and then brushes her own teeth. And we, over the years, we have seen so much impact and how the children really get excited to brush their teeth and do the whole taking care of my teeth at home with my dad and mom. And the second part was the screening, because we wanted to give a message to the parent and tell them, listen, your child might have decay, there might be a bite concern, go now, because now is much easier for you and for the child to treat the problem. And I've been there working for 3 years now, doing both the education and the screening part, and it has been the pleasure of my life to see this difference on a daily basis.
And this is how we met.
That's
so
right.
we met a
That's
couple
right.
of years ago when you came to the nursery.
That's right.
And what I was amazed at was how willing, because, you know, listeners at home, you can't see this lovely lady's warm smile. And I think that that's important, that the children really relaxed with you, Dr. Marina. They really enjoyed meeting you, and they wanted to to get into your chair, and they wanted to let you, have a look. And you also had that wonderful combination of being able to speak Arabic and English that really put lots of children, at ease.
And believe me, Lisa, I'm actually the one who learned more from the children than you think, because I felt that dealing with them on a daily basis made me believe much more in what I do, and it made me want to do more and more in that regards.
So we'll take a short break now. So keep it at 102 Pearl FM. Happy Families with Principal Lisa. You're listening to the #1 fun station in the UAE.
You are tuned into Happy Families with Principal Lisa, only on 102 Pearl FM, the #1 fun station in the UAE.
Hi, welcome back to Happy Families with Principal Lisa at 102 Pearl FM, the #1 fun station in the UAE. I'm joined by Dr. Marina from Dr. Nicholas and Asp, and also joined by Bernadette Abraham, who's a nutritional therapy practitioner and functional medicine coach. Also, both mummies. So we've been chatting a lot through the break, and we've got lots and lots of tips and ideas to share with you. But I just want to come back to you, Dr. Marina, our dentist here on the show. I just wondered whether she felt that tooth decay within children perhaps was on the rise. What are your thoughts, Dr. Marina?
Unfortunately, yes. Generally in the Middle East, including the UAE, dental decay is on the rise, and this is due to a lot of factors. First of all, there is a culture here where people only go to the dentist when they have pain. They don't believe in the regular checkups. And also, of course, the unhealthy dietary habits that I'm sure Bernadette will talk about more than me. But all of these factors lead to an increase in decay in both children and adults.
Where in the world are they getting it right? So you said that here you feel that perhaps there's a culture of we don't go to the dentist until it's got so painful that we absolutely have to. And also, why don't people like you? Why don't people want to go and visit you?
Well, you know that a lot of people have created this image over the years that the dentist is very scary. You will have pain when you go to the dentist. But that's not true at all. And I can assure you, we have now all the technologies, all the training and all the skills to make it as much easy as possible for both children and adults. And I just wanted to say something. If you're a mom that is concerned about going to the dentist, don't say this in front of your child. Please, your child can sense it. Just take him to the right dentist. Choose a pediatric dentist that has spent years of training and is able to deal with your child psychologically before even touching his teeth. And he will exactly, or she will exactly know how to let your child accept and love and enjoy the dental treatment.
They just need to meet you, Dr. Marina. That's the thing.
Well, Lisa, you know what? I'm actually a general dentist. When it comes to Carol's checkups, I also trust the pediatric dentist of Carol. I just check her teeth on a regular basis just for her to know how does it look like. But I always recommend the pediatric dentist for children because they know how to deal with children.
And your little girl, Carol, is almost 2.
Almost 2, and she had her first checkup.
She did.
Because it is always recommended, as per the American Academy of Pediatric Dentistry, that's the thing before Drs. Nicholas and us, that the first visit is at age 1 and then every 6 months. And people would say, why so early? But this visit is very crucial because here starts the desensitization process. The child gets to start to know the environment, the dental clinic, the dentist. He will see mommy and daddy have their checkups as well. And then they will start getting used to go to the dentist. And this appointment is also crucial for the parents because they get educated on what to do with their children's teeth and gums, how to brush, what to use. Should I use a fluoridated toothpaste now or wait? How should my child eat? What is important for his teeth? What is not? The calcium, everything. We will educate the child and the parent on how to take care of their teeth and gums.
Okay, so what you're saying is take them to the dentist when they're about 1. Now, you said something here about what should they eat. And so this is why I feel really excited that we're joined by Mum of 4, Bernadette Abraham, who's a nutritional therapy practitioner and functional medicine coach. Tell us about your work and what you do.
Well, thanks for having me. It's great to be here. My journey really started as a computer engineer, actually, but I always had a love for health and fitness and nutrition. And over the years, I've really delved into learning and continuous learning. And I'm a #forever student, really. And so over the years, I delved deeper and deeper into nutrition and realized that all of this knowledge that I have, when it comes to applying it to adults is one thing, when it comes to applying it to children is a completely other thing, especially in today's world with this bombardment of sugar and junk food everywhere we turn. And it can be very frustrating as a parent trying to raise healthy children in today's society.
Because often as a parent, and I talk to our mums and dads in our nursery, and we have a catering company. We have the very fabulous Leela's Lunches who come in and everything is sugar-free. But in conversations that I'm having with mums and dads, I think that they feel a little unsure. Like, for example, often I'm talking to them about that perhaps honey and date syrup, might not be such a great idea to be popping on the porridge, first thing in the morning, because it still is a sugar. What would you say to that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think today's diets are very high in sugar, and it's not just sugar per se, the white table sugar that we're talking about, but it's also the pseudo sugars, the things that we don't consider that are sugars, and that's the cereals and the pretzels and the anything made out of flour, the croissants that they think that they're giving to their kids. These are all what we call pseudo sugars, where in the body will still act like regular normal table sugar. A piece of toast will spike blood sugar just as much as white table sugar, where someone might think it's a healthier option because it's wheat, but not necessarily. So we have the
So even if a family's just thinking, well, I'm a bit busy today, so I'll give the children, a piece of white toast, just put some butter on it or some cream cheese, you're still saying that you feel that would spike sugar levels?
Yeah, absolutely. That's still a big form of sugar in the diet. And this is something that a lot of people don't recognize until they really start to analyze their meal throughout the day or throughout the week. And it's really all starts to add up. And that's the biggest problem. So sugar alone is not the problem. It's the amount, it's the large consumption of it that is the problem. And it's the accumulation of normal simple sugars that you would find in sweets and treats and desserts, but also the pseudo sugars that you're finding in a lot of mass-produced foods and refined foods and products. And it's that combined effect that it really is the biggest problem today.
So, you've got 4 children, haven't you? And your oldest is almost 14 and then the youngest is 5?
8.
8, okay. So what do they have for breakfast? Give us an idea of what we should do.
Well, I always encourage a breakfast that is going to be high in vegetables, high in protein, high in fat. We want to be moving away from anything that's going to spike your blood sugar first thing in the morning. So that can consist of, a protein, as I like to explain it, as anything that has eyes or anything that comes from something that has eyes, right? So your animal products or derivatives of your animal products would be considered as protein sources. So the typical breakfasty item would be eggs, for example. Or a derivative of an animal product, right? And breakfast really seems to be the special meal of the day, but it really is just a matter of the way you look at it, because to me it's just another meal of the day. And so I don't make breakfast the special meal of the day that deserves and requires a special meal. What you would have for lunch and dinner can very easily also become a breakfast. And this is where there's a little bit of a mindset shift that needs to happen in order for people to just look at breakfast as just another meal of the day and make it as nourishing as possible, to include a good source of protein, lots of vegetables, good sources of healthy fats, to make sure that they're getting in all the macronutrients and minimizing the amount of...
like a vegetable omelette?
That would be a great option, with a side of olives as a source of healthy fat, or avocado as a source of healthy fat. Yeah.
Well, I've never thought of having olives for breakfast. You'd normally have that, on a night out. But you're saying have olives for breakfast? What a genius
idea. It's quite
idea.
Mediterranean, actually. It's quite Mediterranean. So we include olives as part of breakfast.
Now, I think we're going to have to go to a break so that I can get some tips and advice. So keep it at 102 Pearl FM. We'll be right back. Keep us company, and we'll be back in a moment. So 102 Pearl FM, the number 1 fun station in the UAE.
You are listening to Happy Families with Principal Lisa, only on 102 Pearl FM, the number 1 fun station in the UAE.
Hi, welcome back to Happy Families with Principal Lisa. I'm Lisa, and I'm here on the show today by 2 wonderful ladies who are sharing lots of tips, lots of advice on how to manage sugar in the family. So I'm joined by Dr. Marina from Dr. Nicholas and Asp, and also Bernadette Abraham, mum of 4 and nutritional therapy practitioner. Now, we were chatting quite a bit during the break, and we want to share with you what we've been talking about. So before we went to a break, Bernadette recommended perhaps having olives for breakfast. Now, I was quite surprised by this and then asked her, but what about all the salt in olives? So Bernadette, what did you say to me?
So this brought me back to my studies. When I became a nutritional therapy practitioner, we studied the works of a dentist who was one of the early nutritional pioneers in the early 1800s. And he was a dentist who started noticing dental decay in more and more in children's teeth. And so when he retired, he decided to travel the world and go around the world and start observing different societies and cultures, and trying to make a connection between what they ate and their dental health. And what he realized is that when they deviated away from their ancestral diets, that's when they started getting a lot more changes in their dental structures. They had more narrow facial structures, more narrow dental arches. There's a lot more dental caries. And he started to observe what was the differences, what are the commonalities in the different diets, in the different populations. Now, to his greatest dismay, he did not find a vegan population. However, the most vegetarian populations, even them, were eating protein. Some insects, some grubs, some bugs. Other things that he noticed is that they were much higher in fat, specifically omega-3 fats. They were also included salt. So you had mentioned, should it be with salt or without salt? They did include salt. Salt today has been vilified because of the amount of processed foods that we're eating. And so we're all concerned with sodium, and you're starting to see marketing on water bottles that they're sodium free and all of this, when salt is actually a very healthy food for us. It actually helps with hypertension. It doesn't cause it. It's the excess processed food and refined foods that we're eating that are going to cause those things. And so a diet that is healthy with, good Himalayan salt or sea salt absolutely should be part of our diets. So those are just some of the things that he noticed. And if we just start to look back at how we used to eat, we can make great strides in our health.
So in your house, so the children are having these omelettes, vegetable kind of olives and things like that, for breakfast. Do you pack your children off with a packed lunch each day?
I do. Interestingly enough, I just posted this on Instagram, and I showed what it is that I often share. And we have such a stress, right? Every day having to think of what am I going to send to school, what am I going to make to dinner? Making it is one thing, but coming up with the ideas is really tiring, right? Coming up with those ideas every day. And so what I've done is I just send leftovers from dinner as their hot meal for lunch. And then I complement that with 2 fruits, 2 different vegetables every day as snacks, and a glass of, in the reusable stainless steel water, some filtered water from the house. And then I just change the fruits and vegetables every day. And then obviously, because we can't send nuts and seeds to school because there's a lot of allergies, and these are banned typically, I do make sure to also give my kids a lot of healthy fats at home. So I do give them snacks like cashews and almonds and pine nuts and different types of nuts at home. And I also do give them some cod liver oil as a supplement to make sure that they're getting in enough essential healthy fats.
What are your thoughts on coconut oil? That's become really kind of popular. I use it to take my makeup off. Now, anyone listening, I'm telling you, this stuff is brilliant. And it's really made my eyelashes grow. But, it's also meant to be really good, And what are your thoughts? Do you give your children coconut oil?
Yeah, absolutely. As this is the type of oil that I recommend to those who want to use oil for any type of heating, any type of cooking, because it's a saturated type of oil. And so it's more resistant to heat, and it won't turn rancid like, let's say, a polyunsaturated oil, which are your typical corn and sunflower and vegetable oils that a lot of people are consuming. Those are very processed and rancid oils that we should really stay away from. We should be consuming more of the saturated fats and oils for cooking, for when you want to heat an oil, which would be coconut oil, grass-fed butter, ghee, lard, tallow, bacon fat, duck fat, goose fat, cocoa butter. Those are the types of saturated fats and oils that we can use. And then for cold oils, I recommend extra virgin olive oil or some avocado oil, but only to be used cold or very, very light heat cooking.
And so, a big phenomenon at the moment is the keto diet. I know a lot of people, that are losing weight on it. I tried it. I didn't lose weight, so I can't particularly recommend it. But are we at risk here of shifting a little towards that very protein heavy diet with children? Or do you feel that that's really important that the children are getting lots of protein?
When it comes to the specifics, the best diet is the U diet. I say this all the time. There's going to be diet trends coming and going for as long as we live, right? And really there is no perfect diet for everyone. So you mentioned that you tried the keto diet, it didn't suit you. For someone else, it might be brilliant for them. And so when it comes to children, it's very important that we include everything for them, that they get carbs, that they get fats, that they get proteins. The specific ratios, however, are going to change based on their needs, their age, their requirements, whether or not they train a lot or whether they're more sedentary. The specifics change based on the individual. So I don't like to recommend specific diets, especially for children. It really should be individualized. And I like to let the children guide the process because ultimately they know best. So.
And also, I think it's really important that children get enough food. In our nursery, that we've got a running track. They're running around the garden in that. Even in the summer, there's an awful lot going on. And so we have our own food program now, but we didn't always have that. And it wasn't the easiest thing to implement, a food program where everyone in our nursery eats exactly the same. This food comes in and it's fantastic, and I've been really pleased with it. But the reason that I brought it in is I just was getting so worried about how much the children were eating and what they were eating, because parents are so time deprived. It's really difficult when you've got children and you've got to quickly make up a packed lunch, and get them in the car and get them to nursery. And what would you say about that? I know that you're a working mum, Dr. Marina. How do you find kind of making sure that Carol eats a really nutritional diet as well as being a working mum?
Well, I have first to thank officially Lisa on air for the nursery, for Lila's lunch, for the healthy snacks, because you have made my life easy. I'm extremely happy to go to work every day, and having in mind that Carol will eat healthy, will eat lots of vegetables and fruits happily without any worries, to prepare this myself every morning or every night. To be honest, I'm not that educated like Bernadette about the nutrition, but I always go back to the roots. Give whatever it is natural. Don't give processed food. So I focus on fruits, vegetables, eggs, nuts, real food. I get very upset when we go to the mall, for example, and then people give me the kids menu. And then I read the kids menu, and it's all about French fries and cheese pizza and burgers, and this is not.
But if we keep giving them this menu, then they're always going to eat chicken nuggets. Now, I'm not saying that I don't want to kind of be unkind about that, but it's just, when I was a child and you went out for dinner or something, we'd have things like shepherd's pie coming from the UK, which is kind of meat and potato. We didn't even know what a chicken nugget was because it just didn't exist. But I really think it's important that children get to try a variety of things. And
exactly. And I agree with Bernadette that the society doesn't give you a chance to offer to your child so many healthy things, because at home I can control this, but when I go to a birthday party and I just find French fries and nuggets, I really get upset, because why don't they eat just grilled chicken? It works. They like it. If they are offered it and try it, they'll eventually like it and they will eat it. And sometimes parents tend to force their children or offer their children an unhealthy snack because they're so worried that their child will not eat. They say it's better to eat a cookie rather than not eat anything. I'm completely against that. I rather want Carol not to eat than eat an unhealthy thing, because eventually she will know the trick. She will know that if she refuses the real food, she'll wait a little bit and then mommy will give her a cookie. But that doesn't work at home. When she refuses the real food, I just say, okay, Carol, no problem. Let's wait for the next meal.
Oh, I love that, because actually I talk a lot. When I do parent workshops, I talk about let's take the emotion out of food, please. Let's just keep things calm at home. And, this is what we're going to have to dinner tonight. I'm so glad you're here with me in the kitchen. Could you chop something up? Could you stir it? Can you put that in the oven? Could you lay the table? And I think it's really important to bring children into that kind of involvement. What would you say to that, Bernadette? How involved in cooking family meals are your? Is it boys you've got?
I have 2 boys and 2 girls.
Oh, right.
And I definitely do involve them, even taking them to the supermarket to select some foods, sometimes with me. But even taking it one step further is when you actually bring the meal to the table, have family sharing. Let the children serve themselves, I think, is a very important point as well.
Oh my goodness me, you're talking about my absolute passion. So I really believe in this. So in our school, the food is put in the middle of the table, and we encourage the children to not only just serve themselves, but serve a friend. So we're building that sense of community. And I also have this belief that if children choose how much to put on their plate, they're more likely to eat it because they know how hungry and what it is they want to eat.
Exactly. And not just that, is, like I was saying, children know when they're hungry and they know when they're full. And parents, depending on our feeding styles, can sometimes get in the way of that and can affect our child's behaviors towards food. And so if we are serving the food for our child and not letting them choose, for example, then, when the child is full and might still have some food in their plate, and they'll say, I'm done. If you have an authoritarian style of parenting and feeding style, and you say, no, you have to finish everything on your plate, well, then you're essentially that child is losing their self-regulation skills. And that's been shown in literature, scientific literature, that the child may have weight problems because they're losing that self-regulation skill by listening to you.
But you know what it's like as parents, we do often go along with how we were brought up. I don't know if you agree with me, ladies, but when I was growing up, there were a lot of situations where we did have starving children in the world, and my mum would say, well, think about the poor children starving in wherever it was, at the time, and you'd think, well, I better eat up, but I'm not quite sure how I was helping those poor starving children by making sure I finished everything on my plate.
But you know what? I think it also depends on the child's stage of life, their age and the stage of life. And this was an important lesson that I learned as my children became older and started becoming a little bit more independent. When they're younger, you really do have control over what they eat. But as they get older, and as Dr. Marina was saying, they start to go to birthday parties, they start to go out with friends, go to friends' houses, and you lose that control of what they're eating. And they might be getting a lot more sugar and junk food than they would at home. And so this was something that I learned, a very hard lesson, where one time my daughter went to a birthday party, and it was an all-day birthday party. So I couldn't feed her before going to the party and trying to eliminate.
That's often a tip mothers talk about, right? Feed them before they go to the party.
So I couldn't really do that because it was an all-day birthday, and so there's going to be several meals throughout the day. And she came home that night and vomited so badly and slept like a baby. So I knew that it had to be something that she ate because she felt relief instantly afterwards. And so I sent a message to the parent and I asked, what was the food that was given today? And it was this long list of awful junk food, from pizza to cheddar cheese popcorn to candies it was just sweets and junk food all day long. And my daughter's not used to that. However, she learned a hard lesson as well, and knowing that she can't overdo it as well. And I learned a hard lesson as well, in that I'm going to have to find a middle ground somewhere and not always say no to these things, because then it's going to have an opposite effect.
But as we come to a break, I talk about this a lot on the shows. It's not easy being a mum, is it? Do you know?
It's not.
Oh my goodness me. We really do try, and it sounds like both of you are doing such a great job. Now look, let's go for a little break, and then we'll come back and we'll really start sharing some tips. So if you're listening at home, you might want to get a pen and paper ready so we can start giving you some things that you can really bring into your family life. So keep it at 102 Pearl FM, the number one fun station in the UAE.
You are tuned into Happy Families with Principal Lisa, only on 102 Pearl FM, the number one fun station in the UAE.
Hi, welcome back to Happy Families, 102 Pearl FM, the number one fun station in the UAE. I'm Principal Lisa, and I'm joined on the show today by Dr. Marina and Bernadette Abraham, who's a nutritional therapy practitioner and functional medicine coach. Now, here we are at the end of the show. Is everybody ready to receive lots of tips and advice about how to make your family a sugar-free family? We've talked a lot about why. So over to you, Bernadette. You were telling us about how to help your children make good choices around sugar.
Yeah, and it all goes down to raising their level of awareness. Let them know how much sugar is actually in the products that they're eating. And this is a very powerful exercise that I like to share with parents, and it's something that I'm actually putting into the book that I'm writing as well. And basically what it involves is you tell your kids to go get a tall glass, see-through glass, a bag of sugar, a measuring teaspoon, and a calculator for the really young ones. And the goal is to help them calculate how much sugar is actually in the product by looking at the food nutrition facts. So what you're going to be looking for is the number of carbohydrates in the product. Under that, usually they list the grams of sugar. So let's say it lists 24 grams of sugar in that particular juice pack. the fact that you need to remember is that 1 teaspoon of sugar equals to 4 grams. So all you're going to do is take the grams of sugar that you found on the
Sorry, can I just
product.
check on that? So what you're saying is that when I read the back of a packet and it
Yes.
says 4 grams of sugar, that equals to 1 teaspoon. Okay,
of sugar.
all right.
Exactly. So let's say it says 24 grams. You're going to take that, divide it by 4, it gives you 6 teaspoons of sugar. So this is also a good math exercise for the older kids, right?
Do you know what? I think we're going to do that in our school. What
Exactly.
a brilliant thing to do.
And so then you have the kids actually measure out 6 teaspoons into that cup, into that tall glass. And it's such a visual, powerful exercise because then they get to see how much sugar is actually in that product and they get turned off. So it's a very powerful exercise, and I encourage all parents to do this with all the products that their kids generally like to eat. Do this as a family exercise. It's very powerful.
And one other kind of tip and advice that we could perhaps give children is if you can't read it or pronounce it, now we may have very smart children that can, it's probably not a natural and healthy product. What would you say about that?
Yeah, absolutely. If you can't read it, don't eat it.
Yeah.
It's a very good principle to follow, absolutely. You want to be eating whole food ingredients, real food, things made in nature. Try to avoid as much as possible things that are made in a lab.
And so if you were busy, you've just got in and you've had a busy day, you've got 4 children, Bernadette, that you need to feed, what would be your quick, easy, surefire recipe you could rustle up for the family?
Oh, I love smoothies. Especially when kids come home and we have to go quickly to their next activity and they're hungry but not quite ready for dinner yet. I love to actually prepare smoothies because there you could throw in loads of nutrition, fruits, vegetables. You could throw in some flax seeds for the healthy fats, coconut water, which gives them good, healthy electrolytes. And it's a nice, easy way to also help them digest it quickly as well if they're going to the activity and they want to be eating a lot of food.
And also, smoothie is quite a good thing because you could eat that on the run. Because a lot of mums here, talk about how they've got to get to the next activity. There isn't time, but a smoothie, that's perfect. You can put it in a little shake holder with a straw and, you're good to go. Now, Dr. Marina from Dr. Nicholas and Asp, I know you, as a working mum and a fantastic mum who manages to find quite a lot of balance. So can you share your tips for how you manage meal times with little Carol at home?
Well, my main tip is plan. I used to go with my mom to the supermarket and we used to get this and that. And then we used to throw a lot of food and we didn't know actually what we wanted to cook. But when I plan, I say, let's say for this week, we need fruits. And then I get the fruits for the week. I need vegetables, I need protein, I need nuts, I need coconut milk, I need this and that. So I have everything for the week planned, and then I know every day what I'm gonna cook. If I'm really busy, I do a vegetable soup. Carol loves it. A little bit of noodles, a little bit of fruits, a little bit of chicken broth, if I can do it very quickly, and it's amazing. Everyone loves it. Very easy, very nutritious, and very quick.
Wow, so you say planning. So are you saying you meal plan? Do you plan ahead?
Yep.
Okay.
Everything, even my snacking meals, me and my husband, we do the planning together. So we have breakfast like 2 eggs in the morning, and then we take fruits, we take nuts. Sometimes we do shepherd's pie. We actually got inspired from Leela's lunch as well.
Do you know, poor Leela's lunches who do the food in our school, they were like, I said, we need shepherd's pie. All children need shepherd's pie. But when I was growing up, my mum used to say, as long as you've got eggs and potatoes, you've got a meal. She used to, that's it, we've sorted. So, she'd make anything out of eggs and potato. But you were talking earlier on in the show, Bernadette, about how you're using eggs in the morning and that extra special something. What would you say to a meal with eggs and potato?
Oh, I think it's wonderful. Or eggs.
Do you agree with my mum?
I do. I don't think there's anything wrong with potatoes, and egg is a wonderful source of protein as well. She's spot on.
I'm not sure, how that came about, because actually my mum also tried to convince me that what I was having once was chicken stew. Trust me, it wasn't chicken stew. It was actually rabbit. And back in my day growing up, we used to eat that kind of thing, and so I have this now kind of like fear of stew. I'm like,
My mom used to hide tongue She used to hide tongue and tell us that we were eating chicken.
But these old-fashioned foods, these old-fashioned foods are coming back. So we talked a lot as we, come to the end of the show. We talked about that there are lots of hidden sugars. We've talked about that for every 4 grams of sugar in an item, that's 1 teaspoon. We've talked a lot about that, and we've talked about some family tips. You've given some ideas about smoothies. But at the beginning of the show, Dr. Marina, we talked about the effects of sugar on teeth and kind of dental health. So could you give our families at home some last kind of parting advice on looking after their teeth?
Sure. As any other important advice, instill the habits as early as possible. Teach your children the importance of brushing their teeth, flossing their teeth, eating healthy, and visiting the dentist. And believe me, if you do this early, your life will change.
And actually, we talked about how that Dr. Marina was saying, get the child along to the dentist at age 1. That's right. Thank you so much. In fact, I met you when you were pregnant and you were doing the small mouth program. And so I know that you've probably been a great advocate for that way of approach with little Carol. But now, look, Bernadette, we just finish here. You're writing a book, aren't you?
I am.
Tell us about that book.
I am. I'm writing a book to help parents help their kids eat healthier. And it comes from my own journey as a parent. It's combining my knowledge and my experience as a mom and the struggles that I face as a mom. And I want to help all other parents as well to really help their kids eat healthier in this overly processed world. That's really what the book is all about. And it's giving loads of tips, loads of advice, and it's educating the parents to empower their kids and give their children the know-how, the knowledge, and the awareness as to the foods that they should be eating and the foods that they should be avoiding.
So I found you on Instagram, and a friend recommended and said, oh my goodness, you have to get this lady on the show. She's like the best in the business for kind of children's food, health and nutrition. What is your Instagram so that any families listening could find you for some tips?
Yep, just my name at Bernadette.Abraham.
Okay. And anyone looking for the most wonderful dentist with the biggest amount of passion and love is Dr. Marina at Dr. Nicholas and Asp.
Thank you so much, Lisa.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure having both of you on the show. Thank you so much for joining. Thanks for listening and keeping us company today. But I'm afraid we've run out of time. So thanks for keeping it at 102 Pearl FM at Happy Families with Principal Lisa. You're listening to the #1 fun station in the UAE.
You are listening to Happy Families with Principal Lisa, only on 102 Pearl FM, the #1 fun station in the UAE.